Lieutenant Commander Maya Torres entered the military courtroom with her wrists in steel cuffs, the chains clinking softly as she walked. Her uniform was pristine, her posture unwavering, but her eyes carried the weight of 1,000 missions. Around her, the room fell into a heavy silence. Decorated officers, reporters, and civilians filled the benches, but no one made a sound as they took in the sight of her, America's most decorated female SEAL sniper, treated like a criminal. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Everyone knew her name, her story. Maya had led covert missions across the globe, saved fellow soldiers under fire, earned medals few could dream of. But none of that seemed to matter now. The charge, disobeying a direct order during a classified operation in Kandahar. What the public hadn't been told was why. Behind closed doors, she had refused to launch a drone strike on a suspected insurgent hideout. Intelligence had suggested the enemy was hiding there. But so were women and children. Civilians. Instead of following the command, Maya had gone in alone, choosing to risk her own life to extract the innocents. Lives were saved. The mission succeeded. But to some, her defiance meant insubordination. Now, the same country she had bled for questioned her loyalty. The courtroom held its breath as Maya took her seat. She didn't flinch. Didn't speak. Her silence was not guilt, it was principle. She had followed her conscience, and now, she was ready to face the consequences. The courtroom buzzed with quiet tension, the kind that presses down like a storm about to break. Rows of military brass sat rigid, their medals gleaming but their faces unreadable. Prosecutors rose sharply, voices clipped and cold, dissecting Maya Torres's decision like it was a tactical error, not a human choice. She jeopardized national security. Disobeyed a direct order in the field. We cannot tolerate rogue actions, no matter the rank or record, one barked, slamming his fist into the table for effect. Maya remained still. She didn't defend herself. Her lawyer sat poised, but Maya had told him not to speak unless necessary. Her silence wasn't weakness, it was her way of honoring the lives she'd chosen to protect. Even if no one else in the room knew their names. In the back row, a small figure clutched a worn photograph. Amina, barely 12, sat with wide, watchful eyes. Her dark hair was braided neatly, her small hands trembling. The photo showed her parents, her little brother, all alive because Maya had gone into that house instead of leveling it. Amina wasn't allowed to speak. She wasn't a U.S. citizen. She didn't wear a uniform. To the court, she was irrelevant. But to Maya, she was the reason everything had been worth it. Outside the courtroom, headlines were already forming. Inside, judgments were being made. But the truth, the full, human truth, was still waiting to be heard. And soon, someone unexpected would demand that it be. Just as the prosecutor prepared to deliver his final argument, the heavy wooden doors at the back of the courtroom creaked open. Heads turned. A hush swept through the room like a sudden wind. A figure stepped inside, tall, silver-haired, his uniform immaculate, chest lined with ribbons that told stories of wars most had only read about. Admiral James Rourke. A legend in the Navy. Some hadn't seen him in years, assuming he'd quietly retired. Now, here he was, walking toward the bench with slow, deliberate steps. Every officer in the room instinctively stood. Even the judge paused, visibly startled. "I request permission to address the court," the Admiral said, his voice calm but commanding. The judge blinked. "Admiral Rourke, this is irregular." "Irregular is court-martialing a SEAL for choosing humanity over protocol," Rourke interrupted. His tone wasn't loud, but it filled the room. "I sent her into that mission. I approved the intelligence. And I need this court to hear what really happened." No one moved. The air was electric. He turned to Maya. Their eyes met. There was no salute, no nod, just understanding. Respect. Then, turning back to the court, he said quietly, before you judge her, you need to understand who she is, what she did, and who's alive because of it. In that moment, everything shifted. The courtroom, once convinced it was dealing with a defiant soldier, now faced something else entirely, a reckoning. The courtroom sat in breathless silence as Admiral Rourke stepped forward, placing a single photo on the evidence table. It showed a group of Afghan civilians, frightened, dust-covered, but alive. Among them, a little girl clung to a Navy medic's arm. That girl, Rourke began, pointing, was inside the house Maya Torres refused to destroy. Along with her brother, her mother, and 4 other civilians. He paused. Intel said the house was occupied by insurgents. And it was. But it was also home to people who had nothing to do with this war. The Admiral's voice cracked, not from age, but emotion. Maya didn't ignore her orders. She adapted. She acted with precision, courage, and restraint, everything we hope our finest warriors will do. He stepped closer to the bench, his voice lowering. She radioed for delay, got no answer. Took matters into her own hands. Went in alone. Cleared the house room by room. Neutralized 2 armed hostiles. And led 7 civilians out, alive. Rourke looked at Maya. You want to charge her? Then charge me. Because I trained her to think beyond orders. To value life. Then, in a voice that dropped the courtroom into stunned stillness, he said, that girl in the photo, she's my granddaughter. Gasps rippled through the room. My daughter was working with a relief agency that day. She didn't tell me until after. Maya saved her. My family lives, because of her. The weight of his words hung in the air. No one dared speak. The courtroom, once certain of guilt, now sat frozen by truth. The courtroom doors opened once more, but this time, it wasn't with tension, it was with release. The judge's voice, moments earlier, had been clear and resolute, all charges dismissed. Lieutenant Commander Torres, you are free to go, with this court's deepest respect. As Maya stepped outside into the bright afternoon sun, the shackles now gone, she blinked at the crowd gathered on the courthouse steps. Uniforms lined both sides, Marines, sailors, airmen, Army officers. Not by command. They had come on their own. And then, one by one, they raised their hands in salute. Silent. Steady. Saluting not just her service, but her courage to do what was right when it mattered most. In the front row, Amina stood on tiptoes to be seen. She clutched Maya's sniper badge, a gift Maya had quietly passed to her in the hallway. Her small hands trembled, but her smile was radiant. You didn't just save my family, she whispered as Maya knelt to embrace her. You saved me. You showed me what a real hero looks like. Maya hugged her tightly, tears finally rising, unhidden now. No battlefield had ever made her cry. But this, a child's gratitude, a nation's second look, this broke something open. She stood tall again, not as a soldier defined by orders or medals, but as a human being who had chosen compassion over convenience. And as the crowd parted to let her pass, it was clear. Sometimes, the bravest act of all, is listening to your heart, no matter the cost.